Should I do another one? Yeah. All right. Okay. That's a long one. Do people use the internet differently across cultures? What are some of the small differences that may have surprising ramifications in 40 or 50 years' time? Seem like completely different questions. But
Okay. Well, I'll start with the first part. I have a friend whose brother has a photo app, and they made it not anonymous because when you allow it to be anonymous, then you often have bullying, right? But they've gotten many, many requests from women in the third world or more repressed countries asking for private photos so that they can interact with their friends without covering themselves. So, I don't know. But I don't know how that'll change how we like act in the future. I think most predictions from 2 or 3 years ago have been proven wrong. So if we try to predict something now, we'll just look like fools in like 6 months.
Yeah, I think predicting the future almost always makes you look bad. And of course, the internet is used differently across cultures. And there's, significant amount of research happening in a lot of these areas, more than just like sort of marketing research, but like sociological or ethnographic research. There are very surprising ways that sites can be made differently. For instance, you can go to different parts of the globe and you might see as part of your profile your blood type. In the United States, blood type doesn't really say a whole lot. We don't often list our blood type here. In other parts of the world, it's a meaningful thing to share. An early social network, I believe it was in Japan. I loved it. This was like in MySpace era. It showed you who looked at all of your stuff. So someone was looking at your photo. You saw that they were looking at your photo. So we think of this as reciprocal visibility. That is, you see me and I see you seeing me, which is very different than Facebook, Facebook stalking, which is kind of correctly named. It's that I see you and you don't see me seeing you. So that's more of like the metaphor would be somebody in a bush or something like that. Stalking is probably correct in that situation. And so it's interesting how some of those things are completely different across cultures and reminds us that the social media that we have isn't the social media we're going to have in the future. Like these things that we take for granted when we go, oh, everyone's performing for likes. Well, we don't know. Not every network has likes. Not every, it can be very different. Social media is really, really young. And I think that's what a lot of cross-cultural research foregrounds for me. Yeah.
Well, one of the things I noticed while reporting about Tumblr and other social networks that are really popular with teens is that what is most viral, what really like takes off on the web is just raw, pure feelings. It's more and more and more about expressing emotions and sometimes very subtly. Like maybe 6 years ago, it was like stylish to do a GIF that was like, and I was like, and it's like Tyra Banks, like, like making a face, and it was very like obvious and cartoonish, and it's gotten more and more and more subtle to where like there's just micro expressions on these people's faces. So you're a sociologist, like what do you think about that? Like how can it go like further towards just like pure raw emotion?
So words often stop at international barriers, right? Language barriers, whereas visual information can often communicate across language barriers. And there are some emotions that they read the way that we enact them with our faces. They read very similarly across cultures. In fact, that's what Facebook was trying to do with their various reactions, was distill all of emotion, or at least the emotion they wanted on their site, down to these universal symbols. And so you have that feeling win, that kind of, or the sort of reaction GIF that it's just sort of universally understood, which can go across language.
Yeah, it's really like augmenting language. It's like a richer language. Like people seem to think that sharing GIFs is stupid, but I think it's actually making us smarter. It's more complex.
Yeah, I mean it's a form of literacy. I mean literacy is just, I'm thinking a thing and I want to convey it, so I convey it in some way, in a way that you can then decode, right? And that's all literacy is. And we're now literate in all these new ways, which like sharing a celebrity's face, making a reaction so that I can express what I want to express, and then you decode correctly what I was trying to express. That's a new literacy. I think that's really, really, really interesting that I can take a photo and send that to somebody, and they understand what I'm feeling or what I'm trying to say.
Right. Yeah. When it comes to our identities on the web, what are people rightly and wrongly afraid of?